We now come to the second oral question. Lord West of Spithead.
I beg leave to ask a question standing in my name on the order paper.
I call the Minister.
From provisional data, net imports from continental Europe, the Netherlands, Belgium and France provided 5.6% of UK electricity supply in 2020. Final data for 2020 will be published at the end of July.
I thank the noble lady, the Minister, for her answer. My Lord's threats to provision of power to Jersey have highlighted the issue of UK reliance on overseas power supplies. And currently, I think we have 4 interconnectors, and the number of interconnectors is going up by about 10 or 12 even. Does the noble lady, the Minister, agree that it is highly dangerous for our nation to be reliant on power sources beyond our shores and contrary to government policy on resilience and sovereignty? Rapid completion of major new nuclear reactors plus advanced modular reactors would seem to be the answer to ensuring sufficient UK provision of zero-carbon electrical power.
Interconnectors form an important part of our energy mix, but most of the power produced in this country, consumed in this country, is still domestically produced. The Noble Lord will know that in the White Paper it mentioned an ambition to have 18 gigawatts of power through interconnection. In the 10-point plan for the Green Industrial Revolution, reiterated in the Energy White Paper, the Government confirmed its commitment to developing large, small and advanced nuclear projects, and an advanced nuclear fund of up to £385 million was proposed to invest in the next generation of nuclear.
Howell of Guildford.
My Lords, I declare my interest as in the register. Does my noble friend accept that these electricity connectors to and from the continent do play actually a vital triple role in both smoothing and increasing reliability of our electricity supply, which is mostly low carbon sourced through the connectors, when the wind drops or stops, and hopefully cutting our inflated energy bills and exporting our electricity surpluses when wind and solar produce too much for our immediate needs and can be hopefully sold overseas. So my question is, what are the plans for further expansion of these links, both with continental Europe and elsewhere? Is the North Sea Norway link progressing? And what about the link, which will be the longest of its kind in the world, with Iceland?
I agree entirely with my noble lord, who speaks with great authority on this matter. The ICE link, I think, is no longer going ahead, but I can confirm that we, as I've said in an earlier answer, that we have 18 gigawatts of interconnected power provided for within the Energy White Paper. It does indeed play a vital role in supporting a flexible decarbonising system by rapidly responding to changes in demand and supply. Interconnection supports the integration of low-carbon generation and the UK to meet our net zero goal, and it also provides competition in the energy sector, which will reduce prices and lead to lower energy bills.
Count Waverley.
My Lord's, reliability is, of course, an imperative. However, is the Minister to give assurance that as Russia is deemed by the Government to be, and I quote, the enemy in its recent integrated policy review, and given that a major UK company is the funder of the Nord Stream 2 gas project, with the promoters emphasising that not just Germany, but Western Europe will be a beneficiary of the gas from Russia, but that they would be inextricable was the gas from that original source to find its way to our shores?
There can be no normalisation in our bilateral relationship until Russia stops its irresponsible and destabilising activity. The UK imports less than 3% of its gas in 2020. The Government remains concerned about the impact Nord Stream 2 will have on European energy security, and particularly on the interests of the Ukraine.
Lord Brooker.
Can the Minister update on the interconnector application by Aquind Limited, owned by 2 Russian Tory party donors, one of whom, Alexander Tomenko, once said he owned enough Tory MPs to dislodge a UK Prime Minister? The 2 owners control less than 50%. Who owns the rest? Can she confirm that everybody on Portsmouth City Council are totally opposed to the proposed cable route through the city? And it's even now better for this decision to be made locally rather than by ministers.
I am indeed aware of the issues surrounding the Aquin interconnector, as the Noble Lord outlined. Aquin has made an application for development consent. All applications for development consent are dealt with by the Department in line with government propriety guidelines. We do not comment on projects that are currently in the planning process.
Lord Taylor of Gosmoor.
Over the last year, there have been significant issues with electricity supply, not least because a number of power stations have either been down or under repair, and we haven't yet got the new generation online that has been long talked about. That makes the interconnectors particularly important. But in Northern Ireland, of course, they're fully integrated with the rest of the Irish electricity system. The trade and cooperation agreement that governs all this will run out in 2026. Is the government actively in discussion with European counterparts on its successor?
I can confirm that the government is in discussions on its successor. We are in fact planning another interconnector between Ireland and the UK. As you know, the island of Ireland is counted as one electricity market, and I can update you on further discussions as and when they happen.
Lord Grantchester.
I follow up on the questioning from my noble friend Lord Rooker, as obviously conflicts of interest have been a large part of the public debate recently. And can the noble lady, the Minister, confirm which Minister will sign off the final decision on the Aquin cable, that ministers in the department have no involvement, and confirm that the government will nominate who has any role in any stage of the adjudication process? Would the final sign-off be undertaken by Ofgem?
The application has been examined by the Planning Inspectorate. The examining authority is currently writing its report, which will contain its conclusions and recommendation to the Secretary of State. Once he's received the report, the Secretary of State will have 3 months in which to take his decision. No other ministers are involved in this decision-making process.
Lord Hannon of Kingsclere.
My Lords, interconnectors play an important role in reducing costs, but Britain is not at risk of an energy embargo. We're close to self-sufficiency, we'll be closer when hydrogen comes on tap, and in a real emergency, we're sitting on 300 years' supply of coal. Will my noble friend, the Minister, confirm nonetheless that threatening an embargo is not the act of a friend, but rather of an antagonistic state such as Putin's Russia?
That'll calm it down a bit.
Undoubtedly, emotions ran high following the introduction of the new licensing regime in Jersey. But we believe that the measures that Jersey has put on its fishing licences are entirely consistent with implementing access under the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. Our strong and healthy reciprocal energy relationships with neighbouring countries have been based on goodwill for many years. It is in the mutual interest of all parties that we continue to uphold these positive relationships.
Wigley.
My Lords, will the noble Lord the Minister tell the House what is the anticipated timescale for more interconnectors between Britain and Ireland, and whether the UK has any plans to set up a domestic cable manufacturing capability?
We do have a strong pipeline of interconnectors. We have 3.8 gigawatts in construction to Norway, Denmark and France, and the completion of these projects will result in 9.8 gigawatts of interconnector capacity for Great Britain by 2023. A further 6.1 gigawatts are in development to Ireland, France, Germany and Norway. We have no capacity in the UK at present to build HVDC cables, but we do have a capacity to build the medium gigawatt cable, the medium voltage, which service the offshore wind farms.
Anna Skirdy. Of Didcot.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity to opine on this important issue. I wonder whether the Minister could confirm that the French are in fact building one of our nuclear reactors, and whether the recent dispute has led the government to review that situation.
The French are indeed building Hinkley Point, and we are still in discussions with them on the building of on the project to build Sizewell C, and I am not aware of any interruptions in those negotiations.
Moylan.
My Lords, what many members want to hear is an assurance from the Government
that reducing dependence on French electricity, the import of French electricity, will be a strategic priority for the government in the face of the threats that we know they are likely to issue. They have a track record when it comes to renewing and renegotiating the trade and cooperation agreement. And if my noble friend can't give that assurance today, which I understand, will she at least promise to take it back to ministers so that we can actually have a clear policy that defends the national interest?
The UK has an extremely strong domestic energy supply. Our homegrown mix of energy sources means there's no chance of the lights going out. The UK has a target to build 40 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030, and our ambition for at least 18 gigawatts of interconnection by the same date will support our energy requirements in this country. As for his request to take it back to the Department, of course I will take his concerns.
My Lords, all supplementary questions have been asked, and we now move